Welcome back to Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim and my co-host,
Grandma Gail.
So this week we have on a comedian, Tom Kelly.
Who's very funny, but he's got a problem.
He's single and in his 40s.
Good looking, smart, but he can't
And
find
funny.
true love.
As we said, being funny makes you a lot better as a partner.
Well, that's what you think. You think it's more attractive.
And it was funny because he said comedians know that, or, funny guys know that. And so they think that they're even better than they really are. And then in his case, he wants to go out with models and stuff.
And the models don't want to go out with him.
Right.
So there is a problem because all of a sudden you're perceiving yourself one way, and in reality you're a different type of person.
Yeah.
So perhaps you get a little too jaded if you've been around for a while.
Right. I mean, we'll get
And
into
also
it.
a little more fussy.
Right. Well, you either get more picky or less picky.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure which is better. I think
Yeah.
it's all difficult. It's very difficult to date when you're in your early 20s and you're not jaded at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as people get older, they want different things, or they've gotten hurt in the past, and so they don't want to repeat it again.
Right.
So there are a lot of
Right.
issues, that really come about, and it's tough out there.
Yeah. And obviously I don't know about it since I'm not at that point, but we get a lot of questions, both, that listeners write in and on our TikTok videos, and people say they're single in their 40s or single in 50s. Where do I meet people? And we say again and again, we're not dating experts, but
And we also don't know where to put them because in the age of COVID, you have to sit outside in the freezing cold with a muffler on and a heavy hat. So I don't know where you can really meet people. It's not like you're hanging out in an outside cafe someplace in the springtime or in
Yeah.
the early fall. It's a tricky situation, and you don't want to, in the middle of Omicron, to start hanging out too much in large gatherings inside. So it's tough.
we talk about all of that with him, and we also are on his podcast, so you guys should check that episode out. He interviews us, so it's kind of a part 1, part 2 episode kind of thing, and we hope you enjoy. So guys, we are joined by Tom Kelly. Usually I introduce our guests to you all, but I just love the way he introduces himself. So can you give us your little thing that you do, or a shortened version of what you do?
Well, the shortened version. Well, you heard my long podcast intro. I am Tom Kelly. I'm a stand-up comedian whose life fell apart during the pandemic. But if you really look at it, my life has been a mess for a long, long time. And my comedy is about me owning the awkwardness and cleaning up that mess. And I am Tom Kelly Show across the board. I'm Tom Kelly Show on TikTok. I know you have a lot of TikTok fans. My podcast is the Tom Kelly Show. I'm Tom Kelly Show on Instagram, and I'm Tom Kelly Show on Venmo, and I'm Tom Kelly Show on Match.com and most of the dating apps. Yes, that was a test too of Gail. We were just talking on.
Don't fool around with me.
Oh my God! Gosh, no, Gail, you're becoming hipper by the minute.
Every second living with her.
Are you on Venmo, Gail?
No, and I don't want anybody.
Why are you saying it like it's
because I don't
OnlyFans?
want anybody to see my bank account. I am not switching checks with anybody. Go ahead.
All right. Tom, when you say your life is a mess, what does that mean?
So if I'm being real, I've always been a bit of a mess. You may find this hard to believe, but I wasn't always this attractive. And for those of you looking at it, know I'm being sarcastic with that. But I was a late bloomer with a lot of things. I have always sort of held off dating either because I get hung up on specific women, or the real reality is I've always been dating my career. And then I started making money during the before the pandemic. I spent years for being known as the warm-up comedian at The View and a bunch of big shows in New York City. And then the pandemic came, and just when I was finally making grown-up money for the first time in my life, it all went out the window. And I'm half shattered by that. But the other half of me has been working at finding the gifts during the pandemic, kind of like you and Grandma Gail. I spent a lot of time with my parents. The difference between my relationship with my parents and yours is you spent so much time with Grandma Gail. You started a podcast. I spent so much time with my parents that I'm really trying to spend the holidays elsewhere. If you and I talked 7 days ago, my career was on the brink of a comeback again. And, not necessarily with TV work, but I had a lot of private gigs ready for 2021. And people are putting the brakes on those. I have put the brakes on a lot of my smaller work because I don't want to get the one blessing I got out of COVID-19 was I caught it. It's real. You do not want whatever I had. You just don't. I would not wish my COVID-19 experience on any of my exes, and I'm a vindictive human being. I'm cleaning up that mess and trying to find joy in all of that.
I saw your video earlier where you're like canceling all my shows in the next week, but if someone wants to pay me $100, we'll risk the health of my family.
Yeah, now that is a bit of a joke. I feel like everybody in life has a I'll eat poop price,
Right.
And my real I'll eat poop price sometimes is 100 if I think it'll lead somewhere, but my real I'll eat poop price for even doing private gigs is $2,500. I will do your school charity. I will go to whatever awful town it is. I will be an auctioneer. So yeah, I will kill my parents for $2,500 or risk their lives. I wouldn't kill them.
Yeah.
But I'd roll the dice.
Give them the big virus.
Yeah. No, but because the other one is, and I don't know, listen, I've done a lot with podcasting and TikTok and trying to keep my career going, but I don't have a grandparent to mooch off of and turn them into a reality TV star.
Into a roommate.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I would live with my parents forever, Grandma Gail, if they lived in a place as nice as yours. I've been trying to get my parents to move.
You're invited. Come on down.
You make jokes, but I will show up.
So just to go back a little bit, because this is a dating podcast, you are living in New York. You are how old and what is your relationship status?
So I just turned 40 about 5 years ago. And if I'm owning my real age, but I passed, it's funny though, before the pandemic, I passed for 10 years younger than I was. Now I feel 10 years older than I am. I don't know if that makes sense. And the real numbers might be 5 and 5, whatever sounds less creepy. But I think so. My stand-up joke is I've been single so long that last year for Christmas, mom and dad, they got me Match.com, the dating website. I've been single so long. I just changed my Facebook relationship status from single to non-practicing heterosexual. I think I'm super picky. I am going to say that it takes a lot to get me off the sofa. I tend to date women where if you saw us together, you would say, what the hell is she doing with him?
But that happens when you're funny. Funny guys gain like 50 points on the hotness scale.
Yeah. Or funny guys think they gain 50 points on the hotness scale and they keep aspiring. And to be honest with you, if I'm being very real, it's funny when you guys were on my podcast, Grandma Gail kind of gave the advice of you should just shut up and settle, Tom. And
settle, Tom, not settle, but don't have unrealistic expectations. There are so many nice women out there that would be crazy about you. Come on.
Yeah, and I've done that and I've heard that. And the problem is they've broken my heart too. So the nice thing about dating the unrealistic women and aspiring for the unrealistic women is if they break your heart, it makes sense. Right. I tend to date unusually tall, athletic women who are questioning their sexuality. And then usually after 4 dates with me, they have their answers.
But when you say you're picky, do you think the things you're picky about are justified? Or do you think that it's might be a little too much? If you're going around being they cannot eat with their mouth open, it's a deal breaker, and it's okay, maybe I can budge on that.
Okay. I'm going to say on two fronts here. I don't have a list or a checklist for going into a date. I tend to date women who are my height or taller. And I think my shrink who I'm seeing in 2 hours will say that's because I was a late bloomer, didn't grow till I was late and stuff like that. I tend to fall for women who are more confident than I am. Like my shrink says, I tend to fall for people who are the opposite of me to fill in the holes in me. I tend to fall for people smarter than me. The one who really broke my heart was a basketball player for Brown. She was tall, athletic, and smarter than me. And I'm like, this kid could be the parent that I could never be to my unborn children. So I tend to, and then I could be Mr. Fun.
I don't think that's a bad thing to find balance. Like,
but I don't even want to call it balance. What I'm looking for, Kim, is to be hit over the head. And what I want is to be able to point and say, I want that, and take it off the shelf. What I don't want is, I don't like being set up. I listen to your podcast. You've talked about setups before. You don't know what people think about you until they try to set you up.
Oh, that's crazy.
No, I agree.
On, guys.
I completely agree.
But they know you. They know you. They know your personality.
No, they're like, that girl who I'm sort of friends with is single, and that guy who I'm sort of friends with is single. Let's set him up. It's not like specific.
Well, or I'll go the other way, is your grandma might be right. Like, I think I am Pete Davidson, who should be set up with Kim Kardashian. Right. And your grandma thinks that I am Gilbert Gottfried, who should be set up with Kathy Griffin.
And it wouldn't be so terrible. You'd have a lot of laughs.
No, Gail, I'm out. See, and then it's this argument. Come on, you'll just have a good time. And the other thing I don't like about setups is I want the freedom to be able to tell the person to go to hell and never see them again.
That you can't do on a setup. You have to be sort of nice because you got somebody who set you up. That's true.
So I'll tell you a date that I meant to talk about this on my podcast with you guys. Last Saturday. So on Saturday, I saw a girl on one of the dating apps. She checked off a lot of the boxes. She was pretty. She's smart. She seems to go out in the Hamptons. She seemed to be splitting her time between New York City and the beach. And I'm like, that's kind of what I've been doing for a year. That's what I want. And I was kind of like excited about possibly going out with her. And then about 90 minutes before our scheduled blind date, she sends me a note saying, hey, Tom, I want to cancel. And why? Well, and again, this is December. She says, well, my mom died in September and I don't want to feel sad telling you about where I'm from, blah, blah, blah.
No,
and then
I've never heard an excuse like that.
That's just bad.
Yeah. And let's go a few volleys and that part, I'll even buy the excuse for a minute. I'll buy the excuse. Sure. And then we go into a volley of texting of, well, maybe we can do something this week or next week. And I make the joke of, well, how about this? You can come home with me for Christmas, because she was Jewish. And I think I said, and then we could just ruin my parents' expectations and break their hearts later, something like that. And then it was a weird leap at a bad joke. And then she kind of ghosts for the whole friggin' night.
I figured that. She did not think that was
But
funny.
if someone doesn't get your humor, like, good thing you didn't waste your time on the date.
But then, and this is part of why I don't date, is now I'm feeling like an a-hole the whole god darn night. And she actually texted me back at midnight, I hope you had a good night, which was kind of like the blow off of I answered you. So I wrote her back, and I wrote her a note that was pretty much this. I said, hey, just so you know, I'm going to drop off the radar. I just kind of got a feeling after the last minute cancellation and texting with you that you're a horrible person.
Oh
no. Oh no.
Oh, Kimmy,
this is the thing though. Like, why do you have to send that text at all?
Right.
Like, why can't you just know in your head, this didn't work, like, I'm going to leave it, versus like have to say, but BTW, I'm leaving it. So if you were thinking about it, like, it's off the table. Like, I don't get it.
See, I think you have to leave things on a good note. Because you might run into this girl in 2 months and all of a sudden love her, and she'll love you, and you'll say, oh my gosh, look at that terrible thing I sent you.
But now you're giving into the fantasy that we all are like believing in.
Well, I know, but leave everybody with a nice thought. Why mess it up?
Because it's and this is something I am trying to get over. And again, therapy. And now for those of you counting down, therapy in 1 hour and 30 minutes. I don't know if it's a cultural thing versus being half Italian or Irish and being descended from some horrible people. But Yeah, I feel like you got to burn the earth and drop the bomb.
That's what I don't like. I always say to Kimmy, leave everybody with a smile. You might not be your favorite person in the world, but don't have to cut it off.
Because it
like
also
that.
puts you in the position of power when you're the one who is like,
Well,
you know,
right.
no, because
But what do
seriously,
you
like
need it for?
Wait, Kim just said something smart. Go with that for a minute.
we're killing them with kindness, and then it puts you in the position to say, I like this person or I don't, versus going into these things and kind of being like, I don't know how I feel. And then they get that vibe from you. Like, I think being nice and acting like they are important is just the best thing you could do for yourself.
See, I think I may owe you some of the copay I'm going to pay in therapy in a bit, which is.
No, I'm going to be a therapist.
Are you? You're right. It's.
To Columbia and get her a PhD. She would be very, very good.
I think you just said something that means something to me there, Kim, which is when somebody hurts my feelings through ghosting or through breaking up, when you say something horrible right after that,
Mhm.
I take the power back by being slightly more hurtful than they were, even though technically I'm more hurt than they are if I'm being real.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Like, they're both ways to feel like you're in control of the situation. I just think that you're going to know deep down, like, okay, you took some of the power back, but like, you're not going to feel that good about it.
So I don't feel that good about it. It's funny you said, yes, I don't feel that good about it right now, but I also feel like if people can be a-holes and nobody tells them they're an a-hole, how is the world going to get better?
You're not going to fix the world by telling one girl that
It
she's
takes
horrible.
more than a village.
Yeah.
It takes a whole city.
Because I held back on the one that I wanted to say, which was, and this is good Sicilian bitterness, is what I wanted to say was, your dead mother deserves more than to be used as an excuse for getting out of dates.
Oh, I'm so excited for your therapy session today.
You know what? I'm glad I told this to real people, because to see both of your faces on that's what's in my head, but I didn't say that out loud.
Okay, good.
Yeah. There's
Good,
just no,
good,
because
good.
it's not even true. Like, you don't even believe that. You're just trying to get a rise out of somebody who, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay, but I'm in a career of getting a rise out of people too.
Have you gone to Vegas at all with your career? Have you done?
I've only been to Vegas twice, once for a bachelor party. And I don't remember much except for getting on the plane and getting, no, actually I have 3 great stories from being there drunk. Now that I'm thinking about it. And then once with a pilot for Jenny McCarthy. I'm in a weird spot where I've been blessed to be pinned in New York with TV work for many, many years. And now I'm in this weird spot of, I have the blessing of freedom, but don't know where to go. And there's no world to travel around.
Well, that's the problem with everybody
Mhm.
today. So it's not only you, but Vegas seems to be a spot where comedians still have vehicles to really play in.
well, I'm
clubs,
actually
play in-
curious because it seems like comedy has actually changed a lot since the 50s. Like, we were having this conversation earlier of like, the big thing was, I mean, we see this in like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. They're doing stand up in the Catskills, and it's
Yeah.
like big personalities, whatever. Like, now, you know, you could be a comedian, you have a Netflix special, you have just from being on TikTok or being on YouTube, you can be, you know what I mean? So
Well, I'm going to argue, and not to pop your
I
audience's
don't know what I'm
bubble.
talking about, but so go ahead.
No, I thought you were a stand-up before. I thought you were like, you're so funny and charming. And your grandmother is funny. I just figured, and again, I know you sort of superficially through Instagram, TikTok, and a little bit through your podcast that we're now exposing that I haven't listened to enough of. But you're funny. And that's where comedy's in this weird spot of, do I really want to go out for an hour and watch somebody in person? Now, I'll be honest, that makes you feel good. That's my fix. And I hate saying it. I'm fighting for it to not be my fix.
Okay.
Because it is like, like I gave up the weekend to perform at a club, actually right by my apartment. So it wasn't that bad. But I gave up a chance to go elsewhere for $300 this weekend. Comedy doesn't pay great.
Right.
Unless you're a big name, it doesn't. But there's so many ways to be a comedian now. And the hard part is being a comedian now, we're competing against TikTok stars. I mean, even on TikTok, you and I, you have a wholesome damn show. And we're competing against pretty girls jiggling their butts
Yeah.
to songs. And then, my TikTok feed right now is funny comedian, girl shaking her butt, lip syncing to
Right.
grandma. How do I compete with that nowadays? I don't know, because I'd rather watch a girl jiggling her butt than me.
I think it's a different niche. I think it's one of it. One thing is being a content creator, and one thing is being an influencer or like a TikTok girl. I think they're extremely different. I think one couldn't really like exist without the other on the platform. Like I wouldn't use TikTok if it was all girls shaking their butts. I would need to be in serious therapy. Like that would do a lot to my self-esteem. So, and I think like the algorithm is amazing in that like it shows you what you want to see. So I think of course you're going to get those random videos and stuff, but why you don't like that?
No, I don't like what it says about me. You know, like I felt like at the beginning of the pandemic, I had a joke that wasn't working. Was I really thought whoever was creating the TikTok algorithm was going to cure COVID-19 with a social distancing app. Because deep down, listen, to impress you and your grandma, I like comedy, books, and thrift store shopping. TikTok knows I spend a little more time on the girls jiggling butts than I should, you know, and
that's where
I don't know what and that's my thing is I don't know what these apps should be. Should these apps be, let's show them what they want or show them what they need? And that's what I miss about the old days of broadcasting.
Yeah, but you're not getting that back.
The way that it works for those who don't know is if you put a video out there, everyone gets an equal opportunity. So if a video goes out, it gets shown to 10 people. And if all those 10 people like it or stay on it or forward it, that's going to be shown to more people. So I think it's like actually fair.
I don't know. What advice do you like? How did you guys find love, I guess is the question, or what advice would you give the 40-something-year-old single guy?
Ooh, you want to give him advice?
No, you could. Well, my advice to him is just relax. Go meet whoever you want. Go for a cup of coffee. If somebody comes up to you and says, "I'd like to go out with you," or you're at a bar, just go. Have a good time. Don't make.
But I don't think
serious.
you can sit back and relax. I think you have to make an effort.
Well, make an effort. He's putting on a jacket. That's an effort.
Like I feel like for dating my age, I went into it thinking I was a 40-something-year-old who thought he was 35.
Right.
And I'm now a 45-year-old who feels like he's 60.
Like, do you care though?
Well, I think that's also COVID.
Oh, it's weird because like I'll go and like everybody is your age, Kim, and you're at that weird age of if you were a couple of years older, I might, but no, like you very much strike me as a niece without being yeah. I mean, there'd be a moment where could I date her? No, that's a niece. Now, could I date someone else your age? Maybe. I believe age is a energy sort of a thing. That happens to coincide with numbers. I mean, I've gone out with a couple of 50-something-year-olds in the last 6 months, and they were much less mature than you are. You know, they were just not together. They were messes, and that's the right way to say it is. So back to me, like I go out to a bar now and I'll hit on a girl, and my pickup line now is, can I buy you a drink, or would you just like a student loan payment?
Funny always work. We always say like you can't really meet somebody at a bar that you're going to end up being in a relationship with. I wouldn't waste my time necessarily doing that. But if one of your friends says, "Hey, I'm having people over," and it's not going to just be couples, it's like also some single people, like that's when I would get off the couch and go to those kind of things. I think apps are amazing. I know she doesn't agree with me, but I think that's the way to meet people.
You know, it's funny though, with the apps, I feel like I'm just out of what I call the Build-A-Bear zone. You know, do you know, like, it's like I'm 5'10", girls, when they put in their Build-A-Bear, it's 5'11" or 6 foot. I am 45. I think girls stop at 44. I think 44 and 45, if you're being honest about your age, is a big difference. And so like now I find it kind of soul sucking. Like I'm thinking about lying a little bit. Actually, what do you think about me bending the truth a bit?
No, don't bend the truth. There are plenty of girls in their late 20s and 30s that would be absolutely thrilled to go out with you. You're a nice guy.
But just to get past the algorithm, should I make myself 6 feet tall and then tell them the truth before I see them in person?
No, you would rather them be pleasantly surprised than like automatically write you off when they get there because they're like, this guy's a liar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I should lie about my age is what you're saying.
No, don't lie about anything. You're just fine.
What if I put the age I feel? Like I'm 45 and I feel 42.
Because then you're just gonna have to tell them later. It's just gonna like it's setting yourself up for failure. I just think being honest is like the best. Like you want someone to actually like you for you, and not that like being 45 and being 42 has anything to do with your personality.
Right.
But I think that like coming up being a liar does. You know what I mean?
What do you think about lying about my age and going the other way, telling people I'm 65, and then when they see me in person, it's like, oh my God, you're 45. That's even better.
That works better. That's a better thing.
I would do that over the other one, but I wouldn't. Would just.
I mean, what about like I list myself as 5'4" on the dating app, so that way when they meet me, you're like, wow, even bigger.
Learned so much from this conversation. We're really experts, I think.
Since we're both 5'2",
right? We can date anybody.
Oh my gosh! You know what? You know what's funny though? Not to judge based on distant images, but yeah, you both looked short.
We are short.
You know what?
We're getting shorter.
I know.
We're getting shorter.
I have to change the angle of the camera.
I don't know
maybe.
what's going on here. We're sitting on pillows.
Yeah, seriously, we're stacked on like 3 pillows.
No, it's not just the angle, but the two of you give off a short, powerful vibe.
Okay, I'll take
short
it.
Energy. BSE, big short energy.
I actually love that. Could be some merch. BSE.
You cut me in. What kind of merch are you two selling? Just excuse my grandma?
We're not selling anything right now. I think we should start.
Excuse my grandma's just a shirt.
You have
Are you
hats.
kidding me?
We're thinking of hats and visors, so her friends could wear the visors and we could wear the hats. I want to talk a little bit about the relationship with your grandma. We talked about it a little bit on your podcast. Also, for people who I haven't said this yet, we are on Tom's podcast, the Tom Kelly Show. So it's kind of a part 1, part 2. So go check that out as well. But did your grandma ever give you or grandpa dating advice in your life?
My Italian grandfather would say things like, find a beautiful woman like your grandmother, get married young, which I didn't do. So then he would say, he also said, never date a waitress.
Why?
His coffee must have been cold that day.
And he's not wrong, because it's funny. I have dated a few pretty girl waitresses, and I think he all thought they served you, but wanted to be served themselves. Don't date a red wine drunk. Popped into my head.
Would you ever date a comedian though?
I have thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have the distinction of hitting on Amy Schumer at a point when I would have made her sign a prenup to not touch my money.
Wow.
And to be very clear, I did not date her at all. I asked her out twice, and she very politely and sweetly turned me down both times. But I do like to say that had she married me, like had something unrealistic happened, it would have been really fun to have her dump me and wind up with just whatever I got after she made her millions. There is some sort of a life lesson or imaginary life lesson there. That said, I think it's hard to date other people in your business. I think comedians can be awful persons. The same way I just told you a story about a girl who rejected me a week ago. I don't want that told about me. I want to control the storytelling. I don't want to be bad in bed and wind up being 5 minutes in somebody's new Netflix special. I wish awful things on the preponderance of the women who have broken my heart. And
that's where we need to work on. I think.
No, but here's the funny thing, Kim. There's nothing worse than being single, seeing someone who broke your heart, and it turns out they made the right call. That guy's great. Does he have a sister? The one I was telling you about who played basketball, she wound up marrying a guy, and I did the Facebook stalking, and she's not, or having a baby with the guy. I forget what she did, but whatever it is, she's committed with the guy on the West Coast, and the guy likes Conan O'Brien. He likes long bike rides. He likes stand-up comedy. And I'm like, she married me with better health insurance and 6 inches taller.
It's timing.
Yeah, it's literally all timing. And well, also it's like it's so dangerous to compare yourself. Like you can't
but that's what I do for a living. I walk into a room and I find something, and this is another reason why I'm probably single, is whether it be relationship wise, as a defense mechanism, or as a comedy thing, go into a room and I find one thing wrong with everybody
Yeah.
if I can. And generally, and then I will eventually, hey, look at those stupid pink headphones. I don't know, like, coming from two women who got headphones who look like they're Princess Leia in the original Star Wars,
It actually looks like Princess Leia.
I know. I noticed that too.
It really
Okay, so-
does. All we need is like the braids.
Yeah, we'll wrap our hair around.
Yeah. So,
No, I'm the same though. I wonder if I'm a comedian at heart.
well,
Like,
I thought you were one. I think you are. Listen, you are a broadcaster, entertainer, or storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same.
Who sometimes is funny. So I want to end the episode with a game we play with all our guests, Grandma Gail's old-fashioned dating quiz.
I'm ready.
All right. So the first one is, would you rather get a call from the person you're dating or a text?
Depends on the time of day.
Okay.
So I love a text, but I once broke up with a girl because she kept texting me when she knew I was sleeping at 6 a.m.
Would you
confused.
sleep with someone on the first date?
Yes. In fact, I would sleep with someone before the first date if that were an option.
Right. Dating apps or setups?
Apps all the way.
Move in together before getting engaged or wait until you're engaged to move in?
Ooh. Engaged doesn't matter. For marriage, I would definitely move in before marriage, or if you're feeling super Catholic 10 years ago, have a fake apartment on the side and don't tell anybody you're living together before
Right.
marriage.
Keep
Now,
your
for engaged, so long as I get the ring back, engaged is not a legally binding thing.
Should the guy pay for the date or should you alternate?
I've gotten burned on this.
Mm.
I used to think it was just easier for my anxiety to pay for as much as I could pay for. Then at one point in the middle, I was letting them pay for dessert if we did coffee after. And then one day, a girl named Rachel, I was about to give her maiden name, but I just stopped.
Don't.
She wrote me a note back saying, Tom, just so you know, one of the reasons I started ghosting you was you bought dinner, but then let me pay for coffee at the coffee place after. So at this point, I don't, when I'm working, I don't care.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think if I were being honest, women, everything should be 50-50, blah, blah, blah. But as a man who's trying to have sex, I will do whatever I am told.
Sure. I think that's correct. By
Yeah.
the way.
At this point, you just tell me what you like up front. You know what I
Yeah.
don't like, though? I do appreciate the haggle. I do appreciate the fake haggle.
Oh,
Well,
the
that's
reach.
Kimberly's
That's
thing.
my
She
favorite thing
calls
to
it the
talk about. I
reach.
call it the reach. It's like, can I pay for the date? And you reach in slow motion toward your bag with no intention.
And you know what I would like as a man who's been single for a long time? I wouldn't mind. I wish there was some sort of a code word we would have in the English language where if a person had already decided that she was not going on another date with the person, that
Mhm.
she could say, hey, I'll give you the money back. I would love women. Here's what I would love for this whole dating thing. I would love women to put the cost of half of each date into an escrow account for the first 5 to 6 dates.
Oh my
If we make it to 7, you get that money back. If you dump me after 3 or 4, I get my money back or half the money back. And we each got the quality of each other's friendship.
Modern dater.
Yes, 2 out of 5 were traditional. So you're more of a modern dater.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, with an old fashioned flair. Now, it's funny. I was listening to your podcast. Like, I'll still, except that it seems cheap now in the age of remote door locks. I like to open the door, like the old fashioned thing of let me put the key in and open the door for you. Now I just feel like it's whoop whoop. Open it yourself. Like, and I find it's just so weird to try to be old fashioned when it's whoop whoop, and it opens. Or, I like the idea of knocking on the door on the first date, but I find that women prefer you text because they don't want you to meet the family before you go out.
Yeah, and they don't want you to know where they live in case.
Oh, even that. To that point, I don't think I've picked up a first date in. Yeah, I mean, could it be 5 years, 10 years? Yeah.
Yeah, no, because honestly,
That's
like we
interesting.
did this traditional put a finger down on TikTok, and a lot of people were commenting like, I don't want them to pick me up. It's not safe on the
All
first
right.
date.
Okay.
And it's true, honestly, like unless it's like you're meeting them up, but like on 43rd and 2nd on the corner. You know what I mean? But if you're in the city, but I think normally first date, meet them there, not a problem.
Yeah. And then first date, you pay for the drinks and don't give them an Apple AirTag as a parting gift.
What is
Did,
it?
wait, did you do that? I don't
No, but that's just a new fear. I'm obsessed with the Apple AirTags right now. That-
Explain to her what that is.
What is that?
Okay. It is, I don't have any with me. It is the size of a silver dollar.
Right.
And it's essentially a tracking device that you can pair with your phone.
Oh my gosh.
And I put one in my car. So I know like my car is in a garage. If somebody moves it, I can find it. I found with those things, I talk about, actually, it's an adventure story I've told on my podcast about me tracking down a lost laptop with the Apple Find My app. But nowadays, there's no anonymity. Is someone could slip something into your bag and they can follow you home. It's really creepy. Anyway, that was meant as a joke, but it's a real fear.
I have a Tile, which is the same thing on my AirPods, so I can always find them. But this one's
I think I'm going to put one in your pocketbook and then I'll know where you are.
I already
at
have you
all
on Find My
times.
Friends, so I know where you are. I'm one step ahead.
Oh my God. I want to put one in my parents' cars because they disappear for a while and don't answer the phone.
Yeah, just so you know.
And then my father says, I don't want to be a part of your generation. Meanwhile, if I don't answer on the third ring, they're all crazy.
Right, exactly. Tom, thank you so much for coming on Excuse My Grandma. Tell everyone how they can find you.
So I am across the board as Tom Kelly Show. I'm most emotional about my Tom Kelly Show podcast, which is what I like to call a brand of self-help comedy. And then I am also Tom Kelly Show on Instagram and TikTok. I'm trying to do 2 of those a day. And you could sign up for my mailing list at tomkellyshow.com. And maybe that way you can come see me perform live sometime.
Amazing.
great.
Thank
We
you
will.
so much. And
Thank
listen
you,
to part
ladies.
1 and part 2 on both of our podcasts, guys. Hope you guys liked the episode with Tom.
I thought he was great. I mean, I know there's a wonderful person there for him because
Yeah.
he's a very personable man.
Great energy.
Great energy. He's a good guy, and he will find the perfect mate. It's just a matter of time.
So for our 50s movie of the week, it's not really a movie or from the 50s, but it is about the 50s, and we feel like that counts just because it's so closely related to our guest this week, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon. It's all about stand-up comedy in the 1950s and a Jewish housewife who was played by Rachel Brosnahan, who's amazing. And
all the trials and tribulation of a stand-up comic.
yes.
Which is very relevant to our speaker today.
Yeah, and I'm sure you guys have seen this already, but if you haven't, it's the best show. Okay, another great episode. You guys know where to find us on Instagram and TikTok at Excuse My Grandma. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. Give us a rating and review if you haven't. It really helps us climb the charts. And we will see you next week.
Bye.